You missed February. Your neighbors are already starting seeds indoors. Garden centers are filling up, and you're wondering if you're too late to have a productive garden this year. You're not too late, but you don't have time to do everything perfectly, so you need to know what actually matters and what you can skip. Most gardening advice assumes you started planning in January. This assumes you're starting today, in March, with spring 3 weeks away and no safety margin. I'm going to show you the emergency plan that catches you up without wasting money on things that won't matter by May. This isn't the ideal timeline, it's the realistic one, and it works if you move fast. Here's what you're up against. Tomatoes and peppers need 8 to 10 weeks indoors before transplanting outside. If your last frost date is mid-April, you needed to start those seeds in mid-February. If your frost date is early May, you needed to start in early March. We're past that window for most zones. Starting tomato seeds today means they won't be ready until late May or June, which is late. You'll harvest, but you've given away weeks of production. So here's the decision you need to make right now. Buy transplants or accept a delayed harvest. Buying transplants isn't cheating, it's strategic. A $6 tomato transplant from a local nursery gets you back on schedule. Starting from seed today saves $3 but costs you 4 weeks of harvest time. Do the math on what 4 weeks of tomatoes is worth. For tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant, buy transplants. For everything else, you can still direct seed and stay on track. Most people panic in March and buy everything. That's expensive and half of it won't matter. Here's what actually gets you food this season, and this is where you focus. Buy transplants for tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, and any brassicas like broccoli or cabbage if you want a spring harvest. These are slow from seed, and buying them ready-made gets you back on schedule. Look for stocky plants with dark green leaves. Avoid tall, leggy transplants that look stretched. Avoid anything already flowering unless it's a pepper. Tomatoes flowering in the pot usually means they're stressed and root-bound. Direct seed lettuce, spinach, radishes, carrots, beets, peas, and beans after the last frost, cucumbers after the last frost, and squash after the last frost. These grow fast enough from seed that you don't lose time buying transplants. Skip entirely anything that takes massive space for low yield, like corn, pumpkins, and winter squash. You don't have time to plan around sprawl. Focus on compact, high-yield crops. Here's the priority order. Tomatoes first, then lettuce and greens, then peppers, then everything else. If the budget is tight, those 3 categories feed you. Everything else is a bonus. And a quick question, what's your last frost date and are you starting from seed or buying transplants? Drop it in the comments. Knowing your zone helps me make better videos for where you're actually gardening. You need a calendar, not a mental plan, an actual written timeline. And here's what goes on it. This week, buy transplants and any seeds you're direct sowing. Confirm your last frost date if you don't know it. Search your zip code plus last frost date and write it down. 2 weeks before your last frost date, start hardening off any transplants you bought. This means putting them outside for a few hours each day and gradually increasing exposure over a week. Skipping this step shocks plants when you transplant and kills growth for 2 weeks.
1 week before your last frost date, prepare your garden beds or containers. If you're using containers, buy potting mix now, not garden soil. Garden soil compacts in pots and suffocates roots. For raised beds, add compost if you have it. If not, don't overthink it. Decent soil beats perfect soil that doesn't exist yet. At your last frost date, or 1 week after for safety, transplant tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant. Direct seed cucumbers, squash, and beans. 2 weeks after the last frost, if any transplants look stressed or stunted, side dress with compost or a balanced fertilizer. Don't fertilize before this. Let roots establish first. For cool season crops like lettuce, spinach, peas, and radishes, plant these now. They tolerate cold and some varieties handle light frost. Stagger lettuce plantings every 2 weeks so you're not harvesting 50 heads on the same day. Write these dates down. Put them in your phone calendar with alerts. Memory fails when life gets busy. March is when garden centers push expensive mistakes. Here's what not to buy. Don't buy gadgets like soil test kits, pH meters, or moisture sensors. None of these matter if you don't have plants in the ground yet. They're distractions that eat budget and time when you're already racing the calendar. Test soil next year when you have margin and actual data from your growing season. This year, just get things planted and learn as you go. Don't buy 15 varieties of tomatoes. 3 plants of one proven variety outperform 1 plant each of 3 experimental varieties every single time. Pick one reliable winner like Cherokee Purple for heirloom flavor, Early Girl for speed and earliness, or Sun Gold for those addictive sweet cherry tomatoes. Done. Focus wins races. Don't buy pre-made raised bed kits in March. They're massively marked up because demand is sky high right now. Wait and buy lumber in late summer when prices drop, or stick with containers this year and build proper beds in fall when you're not stressed. Don't buy garden soil in bags for containers. It's too heavy, compacts fast, and drains poorly, drowning roots before they establish. Buy actual potting mix designed for containers, or make your own simple blend with peat moss, perlite, and compost for better aeration and moisture control. What you should spend money on is quality transplants that save you weeks, actual potting mix if using containers, fresh seeds for direct sowing, and basic compost if your native soil is terrible. That's it. Keep the list short and the cash in your pocket. A productive garden doesn't require a big budget. It requires the right plants in the ground at the right time with consistent water. Everything else is optimization you can add next year when you've got real experience under your belt. Most gardens started in March fail because of one thing: impatience. March feels late, so people rush. They transplant tomatoes 2 weeks before the last frost because the weather feels warm. Then a cold snap hits, growth stalls for 3 weeks, and they're worse off than if they'd waited. Trust your frost date. If it says April 15th, don't transplant until April 15th at the earliest. One warm week in March doesn't mean frost season is over.
In your vegetable garden, one of the biggest killers of newly transplanted tomatoes, peppers, or other seedlings is inconsistent watering right after you get those young plants in the ground. Set a phone reminder. Water in the morning. Check soil moisture before watering. If the top inch is dry, water until it drains from the bottom. Containers dry faster than ground beds, so container gardeners need to check daily. If you're gone for weekends, set up a simple drip system or use self-watering containers. A $15 drip kit from the hardware store beats dead plants. Here's what you do today, right now. Look up your last frost date and write it down. Then count backward 2 weeks. That's your transplant shopping day. Put it in your calendar. Decide right now what you're growing, 3 to 5 crops maximum, and write them down. This weekend, buy what you need: transplants for slow crops, seeds for fast crops, and potting mix if using containers. 2 weeks before frost, harden off transplants. 1 week after frost, everything goes in the ground. That's the system. It's not fancy, it's not Instagram perfect, but it works when you're starting late and need results. Most people who start in March spend the whole month researching and planning. Then they panic buy in April and plant randomly in May. Don't do that. Move fast this week. Execute the plan. You'll be harvesting tomatoes while they're still reading articles. You're not behind forever. You're behind 2 weeks. 2 weeks of smart decisions catches you up. If you want the full planning system for next year so you're not scrambling in March again, I broke down the entire February timeline in another video. But for right now, focus on execution, not perfection. Remember, a garden doesn't need to be perfect to feed you. Even a few well-timed plants can deliver fresh salads, juicy tomatoes, and that unbeatable homegrown taste all summer long. The biggest win isn't having the earliest harvest, it's having one at all. Start small, stay consistent, and you'll surprise yourself with how much you pull off this year. Perfection is for next season, progress is for right now. Get out there, get your hands dirty, and make this your breakthrough garden. What's the one crop you're most excited to grow this season? Tomatoes, peppers, lettuce? Drop it below. And if you're in a late frost zone wondering if you can still start seeds, tell me your zone and I'll let you know in the replies.